You're at 109 right now.
Make sure you get your copy of 10.9 right here from our website. My website is www.ic10.9.store. That's the website to go to get your copy of this book right here, iC10.9. Legends never die. Kobe, let them know again.
You're at 109 right now.
All right, guys. Peace, respect, salute to the legacies of Kobe Bryant as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Los Angeles. And I just had my hair done. Went over to Compton, went over to my Auntie Vivian's house, and, excuse me, and my cousin Shantae did my hair. Thank you, cousin. And Uncle Roosevelt was there. And so, Uncle Roosevelt and Auntie Vivian, thank you for having me. Shantae, thank you for doing my hair. All right, peace and blessings to my family. Now, on my way back from having my hair done, all right, my hair is long now, right? Boy, oh boy, it's a little bit too long. I've never had my hair this long. I think I want to lock my hair up, right? I think I probably have to lock it up at this point. This little slick back stuff, it might be stylish to some, but to me it's a little uncomfortable. It's longer than it's ever been, and it's a little slick back, it has to grow on me. That's all I have to say. This style has to grow on me. I was driving back from Compton, right? And I realized that it's still early. It's like noon, right now, half past noon, and my goal is to practicar español. Quisiera mejorar español. Y recientemente comience a aprender español otra vez. Originalmente comience a aprender español en la escuela primaria, pero durante mi vida no practica mucho porque mi identidad no es latino. Y no tenía muchas oportunidades para practicar español con mis amigos, porque mis amigos no eran hispanohablantes. Sí, pero ahora español es importante en California, en Los Ángeles, en Estados Unidos y quiero practicar otra vez. Recientemente, en 2016, comienza a aprender español otra vez, pero por, en ese momento comienza a aprender español otra vez porque tenía tiempo libre y dinero, porque trabajé en Arabia Saudita. So I was working in Saudi Arabia. I had free time and I had money. And so I decided to study Spanish. That was in 2016. And I bought this book here, this moleskin book, this moleskin notebook, in order to study Spanish. And I put forth an effort. Let's see. I started with the Spanish alphabet. Now, I'm quite familiar with the alphabet, of course, because I started studying in primary school. and but I wanted to make sure that my bases were covered. So I started with the foundation, and I even tried to write a Spanish dictionary from some words that I had collected. I don't know where I got these words from. All right, but this is the letter A, and so I did this for a few days, maybe a few weeks, while I was in Saudi Arabia. That was 6 years ago, probably 7 years now, and then I got a little distracted and I started doing other things. I started to use this notebook for other things. As you can see, I was writing what started to look like what probably looks like poetry. I was inspired to write that, and then some other things. I jotted down some notes. But the nice and neat endeavor that I began with the idea to create a Spanish dictionary for myself, it devolved into something else. Or maybe it evolved because, is it always nice and neat? I don't know. But today is Martin Luther King Day. Just a moment here. Just a moment. Just a moment. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and I discovered something just now. We're going around the circle. We're revolving around. We're revolving around the sun. Yes, in a circle. Perhaps it's better an ellipsis, right? Scientifically, but we're revolving around the sun, and we're matching up with certain points that we've already been, right? Because it's pretty much the same path, I suppose. Anyhow, so in kind of the same vein, I'm doing something that I was doing before, along this path, which is starting again to study my Spanish. So this is these are flashcards. This is a book of verbs here. Not a book, but it's a bunch of verbs on flashcards. My mom bought these years ago. I've always looked at them. We always had them at home. But I never used them to the extent that I'm going to use them now. This is interesting. I just grabbed this one. This is card number 105 and 106. Wouldn't that have been really cool if I had grabbed card 109? Because, of course, where are you?
You're at 109 right now.
Anyhow, yeah, these were $3.95 at the time. I wonder how much they cost today. Has inflation pushed the price up to more than $10 or what? Are they still cheap? Can you still buy these for pretty? I mean, $3.95 wasn't cheap at the time. I imagine these cards are quite valuable. Anyhow, so I have some proper resources to help me with my Spanish endeavor. I even have this large one here. These are all resources my mom bought years ago. Look at that. It was $2.95. Right? Well, I'm going to put these to use anyway, okay? And I have a lot of resources, and I have my book. I have my notebook to go forth and study Spanish with. Now, here's the thing. About this video and why I'm posting it. It's because, we're revolving around the sun, and we're matching up with different points, and so we are new and we're different people every time that we're traveling around the earth. But some things are the same. Check this out. I didn't plan this, didn't know what was happening. All I knew was I was going to open this book that I knew. I remember studying Spanish in this book. I remember that much I remember. So I was going to study the Spanish, but as I started flipping through here, I came across one of the poems that I wrote in here and some notes that I jotted down that surprisingly, curiously, all right, peculiarly, I wrote on Martin Luther King Day maybe 3 years ago. So I just happened to grab the book that I know I remembered the Spanish lessons that I had started in here like 6 years ago, but I forgot the poem that I had written, and I hadn't even thought about the fact that I had written, or yes, that I wrote the poem on Martin Luther King Day like 3 years ago. But that poem's in here. I grabbed the book. I started thumbing through it, and then there we go. So I'm like, wow, this is wild. What a coincidence. What an interesting revelation. So I'm going ahead and just read the poem, but I'm also going to I'm rehashing my ideas, or rehashing my memories of why I made this why I wrote this poem, and I'm going to tell you about it. So I was in Little Ethiopia. I guess it's 3 years now, 2019. I guess that's when it was. So 4 years now. I was in Little Ethiopia, and I was at the Paradocs Cafe, and I had ordered some coffee and maybe a croissant. They make delicious matcha croissants, and the coffee is excellent. Service is excellent. Right there in Little Ethiopia. Shout out to Taka. All right, and so I was waiting, or I was enjoying my day, and I grabbed maybe a Time or Newsweek magazine, one of the magazines that he had, and oh, excuse me. Whoops, I made a mistake there. Okay. Woo. All right, so yeah, so there I was at Paradox having my coffee and eating my croissant, and then I was reading this article, and surprisingly I was reading the article about I found an article in Newsweek. No, I remember. It was The Economist. I was reading The Economist. I came across this article about Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. And that's basically the article. Excuse me, that was the incident that inspired one of the I would say 3 incidents that really inspired me to write 10-9. So there I was in Little Ethiopia having some coffee. I grabbed The Economist, and there it was, an article about this event, the crash of Ethiopian Airlines 302. And I was interested in it because I wanted more information, of course. So then I wrote some notes. Samya Stumo. That was the name of a passenger on the flight, Samya Stumo. And then I looked at it, and I wrote here, seek justice for the disadvantaged. Seek justice for the disadvantaged. Okay, that was a quote that I copied down. And then I was taking notes. Addis Ababa, Nairobi, Kenya. That's where the flight was headed, from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia to Nairobi, Kenya. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. Samya Stumo was in row 16. Okay. And then there were 149 passengers from 35 countries. It was a 737 airplane, 737 MAX 8. And I guess either it crashed or it took off at 8:38 a.m. And then some of the details from the article said that this was the second crash of a Boeing 737 MAX in 5 months. Okay? So those were some of the notes I wrote. And then at some point, I wrote this poem, and I'm going to read it. So it's kind of a rough draft because I wrote it, but I didn't go back to it. But whatever is here, I'm going to read it right now. Okay? And that's going to be the video. So I'm just telling you, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And I wrote this poem on Martin Luther King Jr. Day 4 years ago. And I just happened to find it today on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I hadn't looked at this folder in at least 4 years. It's just been sitting in my bookshelf all this time. And today of all days, I decided to study my Spanish. And I went to grab the book, and as I was thumbing through it in order to find a clear page, I saw a poem that I had written, and then listened to the poem, and then and then you'll see. All right, so this is what I wrote. The Greeks knew her well. They called her Moira. We first met in high school, but now I have become keenly aware of her presence. She visits me often. I wasn't a numerologist, Pan-Africanist, or spiritualist before I met her, but now I am. Her calling card is 10-9. Sometimes it's 10-09 or 10-90. When I pick up my phone, these numbers meet my gaze and leave me amazed. To be honest, she's hella annoying. Like the day I went for coffee at Paradocs on Fairfax, Taka served it up piping hot. Taka's magazines are strewn on the table. I hovered over them and chose one, or one chose me. Inside, the story about Samya Stumo grabbed my attention. Stumo died in the Ethiopian Airlines crash last year. Finding this article today, Martin Luther King Day in Little Ethiopia? I was in Oman on March 10th when Stumo's plane descended. Moira led me to pick up this magazine and find the article about Samya Stumo. I checked the time while I wrote this. It still is a work in progress, but all right. And then I guess I had written all of that. I'm going to stop the poem right now. I guess I had written all of that, and then I had written this to tidy it up, to sort of edit it and bring it all together. It says, my Japanese pilot pen, it's my favorite pen, y'all. I love these pens. My Japanese pilot pen with my moleskin, you dig? That's my moleskin notebook. All right, let me read that again. My Japanese pilot pen with my moleskin goes well with Taka's coffee and his Paradocs coffee shop. Quaintly positioned on my favorite block in LA on this MLK day, I sat here reading about Samya Stumo, who lost her life 1 year ago aboard Ethiopian Airline Flight 302. I guess okay, I got it. I know how to read the poem now. But that's the poem. So I read all of that and I gave you all that information, but now I'm going to read the poem as it should have been read, okay? This is the final poem. This is the final version. I think this works. My Japanese pilot pen with my moleskin goes well with Taka's coffee and his Paradox coffee shop. Quaintly positioned on my favorite block in LA on this MLK day. I sat here reading about Samya Stumo, who lost her life 1 year ago aboard Ethiopian Airline Flight 302. All right, thanks for watching. Peace and blessings. I'm going to get to my Spanish lesson. This video was brought to you by Moira. Moira, y'all. Peace.
You're at 109 right now.